everyone, this is Veronica. Today our topic of discussion is about Doomsday Clock. Okay, so here we learn what is this, the concept behind this Doomsday Clock, and now we are 100 seconds away from midnight. So we'll try to understand this concept and plus what is Bulletin of Atomic Scientists as well for today's discussion. So now in what context today we are studying this? See, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, they pushed the minute hand of the symbolic Doomsday Clock forward by 20 seconds on January 23rd and bringing the time to just 100 seconds till midnight, the symbolic hour of global nuclear destruction. Okay, so first of all, when I'm saying Doomsday Clock, that means it is a someday that is imagined when this world will end, and midnight is the same hour. That means when this minute hand will be here, that means the earth can end anytime. So midnight is usually, this is symbolic hour, so this is not in a true sense, it is not going to happen. So it is just symbolic in nature, that hour when global nuclear destruction will take place. So now it is just 100 seconds away. So this is the nearest countdown that we have ever seen since the Doomsday Clock has been developed around 75 years ago. Okay, so now just see about this hypothetical clock that measures nearness to the death, right, or something when the world will end. So humanity's headlong dash toward our own destruction is actually marked in minutes and seconds in the ticking of hypothetical Doomsday Clock, and how close we are to destroying ourselves registers in the nearness of the clock hands to midnight, that is the hour of absolute extinction. So in 2019, the clock's timekeepers, so the timekeepers are the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, they are known as BAS. Okay, this is Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, or in short they are known as BAS. They fix the hands at 2 minutes to midnight, that time set in 2018. So we'll discuss how this has been moving all the years round. So now talking about what is Doomsday Clock, it is the symbol of which represents the likelihood of man-made global catastrophe, when the anthropogenic factors, the humans will be responsible for this global crisis, the end of the life on earth, extinction. So another thing is, this clock is taken care of by members of Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. Now I'll tell you what is this Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. They discovered it in 1947. This clock represents the causes which are responsible for threat to humanity. We'll talk about these causes also. So if this clock shows 12 o'clock at midnight, it means that the world can end anytime. Now coming back to Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. So finally, what is this Bulletin of Atomic Scientists? So this is basically a non-profit organization which concerns science and global security issues resulting from accelerating technological advances that can have negative consequences for humanity. So Bulletin, they publishes their content at both a free access website and a bi-monthly non-technical academic journal. So this organization has been publishing continuously since 1945, when it was founded by former Manhattan Project scientist as the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists of Chicago. Okay, but then we have seen Hiroshima and Nagasaki, then scientists become more aware about the situation. So the organization is also they became the keeper of internationally recognized Doomsday Clock also. So now here I mentioned the Manhattan Project. What is this Manhattan Project? Once again I'll read this line for you, because the Doomsday Clock origin, as I told you, it can be traced to the international group of researchers called Chicago Atomic Scientists, and they participated in the Manhattan Project. So basically, Manhattan Project was a research and development undertaking during your World War II that produced the first nuclear weapons, and it was led by the United States with the support of, so US was involved, United Kingdom was involved, and Canada. So from 1942 to 1946, the project was under the direction of US, So however, that is how they built the Manhattan Project, and later on the scientists realized what they have done. They have made the nuclear bombs first time, and then they saw the consequences also. So after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they began publishing this journal newsletter, and then the magazine Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, which since its inception has depicted the clock on every cover. So initially the cover of the magazine was something like this, and later on they developed this Doomsday Clock also. So here you should remember, this clock does not show any real time. This is just symbolic in nature. Now see about this Doomsday Clock, and talking about the people who are maintaining this, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, right? So they have issued a statement now, and now let me tell you, in this the people who are the keeper of this Doomsday Clock and maintaining Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, now they include 13 Nobel laureates, and they have recently issued the statement. So I will read this statement for you. They say, humanity continues to face two simultaneous existential dangers. One is your nuclear war, other is climate change. They are compounded by a threat multiplier. So what are the threat multipliers here? Cyber-enabled information, that is cybercrime, that undercuts society's ability to respond. Then the international security, the situation is dire, not just because these threats exist, but there is another problem, that our world leaders are not responding in the way they should have. That means because the world leaders have allowed the international political infrastructure for managing them to erode. So that is why everything, the risk towards this global catastrophe, global destruction is increasing, and everything is multiplying its effect. They are adding up the effect that we should reach, that we are about to reach to this doomsday somehow very quickly. Now see, the scientists of this organization, they are attributed for the forward and backward movement of this needles of the clock. So when scientists think that the humanity is at risk, the needles of the clock are set closer to 12 o'clock, and when the danger passes away, the needles are set a few minutes away from 12 o'clock. For example, after the 2 years of nuclear attack on Hiroshima and Nagasaki by USA, the Doomsday Clock was set just 7 minutes to midnight, that is 12 o'clock for the first time. Now how many times they have made the changes? So around 24 times. So this clock was made by 15 scientists, including the famous scientist Stephen Hawking in 1947. Its original time setting was 7 minutes to midnight. Okay, this was the original time, you should remember this. So if this clock shows 12 o'clock at midnight, it means the world can end anytime. So as I told you, the clock was set backward and forward 24 times since 1947. So I will quote a few times what happened. See, the the needles of Doomsday Clock, it was set 3 minutes to midnight. Why 3 minutes to midnight in 1949? What happened that time? That time Soviet Union, they tested first nuclear weapon officially, and they started the nuclear arms race. So that time scientists thought that now they have started the nuclear weapon test themselves, so there could be the danger which has increased. So they moved the needle to 3 minutes. Then in 1953 what happened? America tested its first hydrogen bomb. So that means again we are growing closer to the global catastrophe or the nuclear destruction. The time of the clock was just 2 minutes to midnight. And then in the year 1969 what happened? NPT was signed. So that was a kind of relief when nuclear non-proliferation treaty was signed. So the needle of this clock was retracted, it was retraced and set at 10 minutes to midnight. That means now we felt little relieved that we are not heading towards this global catastrophe. So now what has happened now in 2020 recently? Now what they say, we have seen a failure of world leaders to deal with, this is where I'm talking about this year, we are seeing a failure of world leaders to deal with increasingly likely threats of nuclear war. For example, the treaty has been ended between US and Russia. The treaty was Intermediate Range Nuclear Force Treaty, and then we are seeing increased tensions between US and Iran, and the continued failure to combat climate change. So what you should know about this year, that the clock is closest approach to midnight we are seeing, exceeding that of 1953 and 2018. We earlier thought 1953 and 2018 were the times when it was most close to the midnight, but now it is just 100 seconds away from the midnight, and it is the closest approach till now. So here you should know about the factors also which are responsible for the change in doomsday clock. These are, it could be nuclear war or its possibility, it could be climate change, it could be bioterrorism, cybercrime, or the threats of hacking and artificial intelligence, then inflammatory statements, rhetorics we keep seeing between the big leaders that should not take place. Mature people don't do such things, but however we are seeing all these things. So these are the factors which actually are responsible for the change in doomsday clock. So these scientists, they keep a meeting, they discuss all the scenarios, all these factors, and then they decide how they have to move the needle, whether forward or back. So here fluctuations, although I've already discussed, because before January 2020 the two tied for lowest points, I already told you, in 1953 and 2018. So but there is one more thing, the clock was left unchanged also in 2019 due to twin threats of nuclear weapons and climate change. So it was just kept the same, because 2018 it was at lowest, and we thought, okay, let's keep it same in 2019, because situations have not escalated, not retraced, so we did not change. The scientists, they did not change the needles. So here these are the pictures I would like to show you. In 2019 there was lack of progress, so it was the same. 2018 it was 2 minutes away. Then in 19 you can see then 91, right? In 1953 again it was quite closer, 3 minutes. So otherwise, if you want to know the time, 2 minutes, 2 minutes and half minutes, 3 minutes, 2016, 15, 3 minutes, 2012 it was 5 minutes from midnight. Okay, so like that you can know. And obviously there are reasons that if you would like to know, you can read it in detail, that why it was 3 minutes to midnight, what reasons the scientists gave at that time, what discussions took place. Okay, so to conclude this, I would like to say, there is an emergency, but obviously we cannot hype this thing also. Emergency in a way, because absolutely it is unacceptable state of world affairs. We all know that the world affairs, the way it is going, it's not about one country, it's about all the countries, it is about the global tensions. And we should ask the world leaders that they should join together and work in unity, because anyway, even this day is going to come or not, that is not the question, but what is the harm to unite and to act? So doomsday clock now stands 100 seconds to midnight, and in what is arguably the most dangerous situation that humanity has ever faced. So that's the concept of doomsday. Let's of course hope that this clock will never strike midnight, and our leaders will actually unite and act against external factors rather than fighting with each other. So this is all we can hope. I hope this concept of doomsday clock is clear to you. So this is all about today. If you have any queries, you can connect with me on social media. If you want the PDF of this lecture, it will be available on my Telegram channel, t.me Veronica_. Okay, thank you.